Welcome on board a flight from LaGuardia to Bangor, Maine, and join us on our latest adventure exploring the tourist town of Bar Harbor, showing you why it's called that, my first ever drone crash, driving and hiking through Acadia National Park, and finally exploring some of the good eats in the area. Put on your lobster bibs and your walking shoes and join us for another episode of J&L Video Postcards. We started by picking up our rental car at Bangor Airport, and we felt duty bound to explore Bangor just a little bit, even though that was not our main objective. And of course, this produced pains of regret because we just didn't have the time or the hotel reservations to explore Bangor. But we will be back someday, as it's a beautiful town and deserves an episode in its own right. We drove from Bangor to Bar Harbor, which ended up being about an hour and a half. The town before you was originally called Eden, after Sir Richard Eden, an English statesman. It was renamed to Bar Harbor on March 3rd, 1918, after the sand and gravel bar visible at low tide, which leads across to Bar Island, which we'll get into a little later, which is an adventure by itself. Bar Harbor, once the playground of the wealthy until a 1947 fire, today serves as a tourist destination and launching point for nearby Acadia National Park. Just walking around town is a pleasure, as there are many art galleries, food destinations, breweries, entertainment hubs, and yes, tons of souvenir shops. We were developing a little bit of a sweet tooth and decided to stop by this less than conventional ice cream shop with some normal flavors and some not so normal flavors as well, but it turned out to be very tasty. We took a visit down to Shore Path, which gives you a vista of the whole harbor. There was this eerie fog that hung over the whole time, and decided it was time to launch the drone. So I saw this cruise ship off in the horizon, which I had launched the drone already, and I was just getting obsessed with this cruise ship. I guess I had it in my mind. I saw this YouTube video one time where the drone operator in Miami had got extremely close to this cruise ship, and it was about to leave out, and all the passengers had waved. And I guess somewhere in my mind, that was what I thought I would be getting. Little did I realize that I was in store for not such a pleasant experience. So I'm creeping closer and closer to this cruise ship, which when I get close enough here in a second, I realize that it's a Royal Caribbean Adventure of the Seas. And I'm trying to get some really good views and realize that there's not really enough people on board to get the kind of shot I wanted, nor do I think people are going to be very happy at seeing a drone to begin with, but that wasn't in my mind at the time. But through this whole process, I'm ignoring the battery meter, which is creeping ever so lower, and so I start to turn back and make my way to shore. So I actually wish I had a shot of the dashboard of my drone that was on my phone, so you could actually feel the suspense that I felt. I didn't breathe, I swear, for whatever amount of time it took for the drone to get this far. And if you've operated drones at all, you know that once the drone, at least the DJI drones, once it gets below that 10% mark, it starts trying to force itself to land. And so you have to override it with the joystick and just hold and just fight this drone to keep from landing, because all it wants to do is safely land. But as you can see, I'm in the middle of the harbor, and that would not be such a good idea. So here I am within spitting distance of land, and my power meter at this point was maybe 3 or 5%. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but That's the way I remember it, and I'm a little bit relieved because at least I'm over land. And my thinking is that at least if it crashes on land, then I will be able to retrieve what's left of the drone and possibly repair it. And I start to see that this tennis court, and my thinking is, oh, I'll land it here on this tennis court. But then I see the fence around the tennis court and thought that that would be a really bad idea. So at that point, my thought was to try and get across the road and land it safely. But as you're about to see, it loses power right about here and lands just in the bushes. But I'm not able to see this at this point from the phone because the drone has quit transmitting, and you can see it actually does an orderly land. So the phone isn't transmitting, but DJI has a feature that it will send you the last 10 seconds. It'll save the last 10 seconds of the crash. And I was able to look at this and jump in the car at this point and drive down as fast as I could and figure out where this thing is. And I was able to retrieve my drone in perfect working order. So thank you, DJI. Now that the dramatics is over, I wanted to talk about why Bar Harbor is called Bar Harbor. What you see below you is an aerial view of Bar Island. And coming up is an aerial view of the bar, or a sand and gravel connection between Bar Harbor, the town, and Bar Island. The actual bar is only visible for maybe 3 or 4 hours of the day when the tide lowers to the point where you can actually cross it. Bar Island is property of the National Park Service, so you are supposed to have a national park pass, which we of course do have to enter that part of the island. But you can see that people are walking across the bar, and people will even take vehicles across the bar at some points. And unfortunately, if you're too late in the day with your vehicle, it has been known to end with disastrous consequences, and it's a very large fine, plus the cost of towing your vehicle back to shore, and it's mostly submerged at that point. So it's not a very good idea to do if you like your car anyways. It just so happened we were in town for one of the few times that the bar was visible, and we decided to walk across. And you have to be careful not to get stranded across the bar, but we timed ourselves well, and you can actually hike the island. You can see a lot of things on the island, but we were of interest just crossing at this point. Here you see one of those souls brave enough to drive their car across. I really don't know what the satisfaction is there's nowhere really for the car to go. I guess maybe just to say you did it. We sat on Bar Island for probably 30 or 40 minutes and just enjoyed our time there. We took this time lapse just so you could see the activity of everyone going across and back. So if you're in town during those hours, it's mostly the afternoon, you definitely might check this one out. So now the part we were most excited about, which was Acadia National Park, the reason we came in the first place. There were just so many scenic vistas we would pull off the side of the road for, or we would stop to take a picture, and it's just something off a postcard, or it's just breathtakingly beautiful. My favorite thing to do is hike. Unfortunately, I was recovering from a medical issue at the time, and I wasn't able to do any serious hiking, just walking. But still, even if you're just bound to your car and only able to walk around a little bit, it's really an amazing place. So next up is Cadillac Mountain, which does require a reservation from the National Park Service. And to do that, you need to go to recreation.gov. If there is any desire to see sunrise or sunset from Cadillac Mountain, you will absolutely want to book it, because they are booked up months in advance. But just coming at any point in the day, as long as the sky is clear, the view is just absolutely breathtaking and beautiful. And it brings me back a little bit to think about the Goonies. You know, that's actually the wrong coast. I believe that was filmed in Oregon, but same kind of little islands and fjords and little breakaways that it's just absolutely beautiful. And I would absolutely recommend this on your trip to Acadia National Park if you are able to do so. So if you didn't know, Acadia National Park does have beaches, and this one in front of you is called Sand Beach. And if you were guessing, the answer is yes. That water is very, very cold. We waded in just to see how it felt, and how these people are doing it, I have no idea. So one of the few places we were able to hike and walk was Jordan Pond Trail, and it's a nice moderate trail, and it has beautiful sweeping views. If you have any kind of medical conditions or just desire a moderate walk, this is the trail for you. At this point in our adventure, I'd like to take you back to Bar Harbor proper for some So the first is 2 cats for breakfast. If you're able to order the spicy omelet with the 3 pepper sauce, it's amazing. Atlantic beer, while not the best beer I've ever had, it did have a nice, tasty selection and a nice variety of beers. And it's a nice place to hang out if you're just looking for a place to sit down for a little while and enjoy a tasty concoction. Okay, so I know you're gonna think I'm crazy for adding a barbecue place to the little list, but seriously, this place had the best barbecue I've probably ever tasted, and it is the furthest north of where it should be. Seriously, a recommendation to you. Well, that about wraps up our journey. I wanted to show the Bangor Airport because it was kind of a novelty in itself, just from, I guess not just from the small size of it. I've seen small airports before, but literally there was nobody in the airport at the time. And I'm guessing most of the people that fly out are locals, because there were actually more TSA people at that point than there was passengers. But when it came closer to our flight, they all just magically showed up. But that about does it. Please like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed our trip, and we'll see you next time.